Gundam Battle Operation Next is a free-to-play game for the PS3 and PS4. It's an online multiplayer game only and has no single-player mode. It's the so-called follow-up or spiritual successor to the original Battle Operation, but is it? I think not. They share the same name and that's about it. Without doubt, it's probably one of the most frustrating games I've ever played. The game plays like a budget version of the more recent Gundam Versus series games like Full Boost, Maxi Boost On and Gundam Versus for the PS4, although movement and attacks feel stiff compared to those games. There are two types of game modes. Catch the reload points. The more points your team captures, the more points it will take off the enemy team's gauge bar. You can also still decrease their gauge bar by directly destroying them. Whichever team bar hits zeros first will be the losing team. The other game mode is like a team deathmatch mode. I could never find anyone playing this mode. Now while there are a ton of mobile suits to pick from, they all fall under one of four types: support, melee, raid and general purpose. So if you pick a mobile suit that's in the melee category, then it's naturally going to be very good at melee and not so great on everything else. If you pick a mobile suit from the raid category, then it's going to be very good at capturing points and getting around the map very quickly. That's not to say it will suck at melee or holding its own against other mobile suits. So for the most part, especially when you start getting the high-end mobile suits, you won't feel like you're pigeonholed into one type of gameplay style. Graphically, the game is a tad disappointing, especially on the PS3, as I know the system can do far better. It does look slightly better on the PS4, and really that's the version you should play. It seems with every update the game runs worse on the PS3. On top of the lag, it just makes it unplayable. I can't moan too much about the lag, as the game was never intended for Western players. So how do you go about getting all these awesome Gundams and mobile suits? Well, since it's a free to play game, you get them by random drops. You have standard drops, rare drops and event drops. All these drops occur after you've ended the match. I would say when you reach around level 12 is when you start getting decent mobile suits from standard drops. You get a lot of Gundam seed drops. So if you're a fan of that show or suits, then great. If not, then your wait for one of your faves might be a bit longer. Good mobile suits usually need 7 data disc drops to complete. Event drops are where you are guaranteed data disc parts for mobile suits. You get rank points for playing in rank matches. You have a tier list for rank points that shows you what reward you'll get when you reach that many rank points. Now it is possible if you log in every day the event is running to get event mobile suits without spending a single penny. That's a good thing obviously. However, sometimes they make 2 mobile suits available in one event, and the second one will absolutely require you to open up your wallet in a big way. Both these cases are for mobile suits at operating system level 1. The operating system for mobile suits goes up to level 6 for some, or have at least level 5. This increases your mobile suit stats to make them even more deadly. This all comes at a cost though. You can buy operating systems with real cash once you have gained enough parts to make them, or use in-game credits. When you unlock operating system level 5, it unlocks your custom paint job option for that mobile suit. What you can do on this is okay, but not amazing. Sometimes I was annoyed that I couldn't change a specific part because it was matched with another part, so that had to be the same colour or no dice. As far as upgrades go, it's not even close to what the original battle operation was. You can't change your weapons, what you get is what you're stuck with. You can change the status of how much more effective your beam attacks are, for example. You do this by buying modules that increase your beam attacks. You can do this for offensive, defensive and mobility. What you buy will depend on what mobile suit you're playing in. If you want to create a melee monster, then you're going to have to buy a lot of melee penetration and melee correction modules. These modules come in different levels. Level 3 will give you the most increase in stats, but it's quite expensive and you need other parts to build them. For new players, I recommend you skip buying level 1 modules and save up your hard earned in-game points to spend on level 2 modules. The master sheet is another part of the customization where you can improve your mobile suit's capabilities. Again, like the module system, you can choose between focus on offensive, defensive and utility. When you rank up in pilot level, you can put more points into whichever slots you wish. To unlock the second row of a sheet, you need to have a certain amount of points already in, otherwise that ability and the rows beyond it will remain greyed out. This means you have to think about what stats you want added to your mobile suit. I tended to go mostly offensive and utility, which has a lot of extra buffs for your boost, like reducing boost consumption while dashing, or your boost gauge recovering faster. In the offensive sheet you have buffs like more beam auto correction, increase your melee attack performance, etc. It all depends on how you want to shape your mobile suit to fit your gameplay style. Pilot skill is pretty much your meter bar for a special move. You can choose between 5 when you finally get to pilot level 25. Your choices are burst shot, which increases your shooting performance, melee burst, which likewise increases your melee performance, Lock on cancel, which means no enemy can lock onto you. Super armor, which means the chance of you getting stunned are low. You still take damage but far less. You basically become the juggernaut. The last skill will regain some of your health to carry on fighting if you are near death. All these pilot skills have a time limit and don't last that long. It's best to use them when you find yourself in a tricky spot rather than use them the second your bar is full. You fill your bar up the same way you do in most fighting games, causing or taking damage or capturing relay points. The controls for this game really suck to me. I can get away with playing with default controls on most games since I started playing video games, but this game I could never do it. It just felt very awkward, usually because you have to hold down at least 2 buttons in very odd map positions while still moving around and trying to target other people. Trying to lock onto a person behind you while his teammates are around you will see you circle through them before you reach your intended target, which by then could mean you're toast. I understand from a design point of view it's a hard thing to pull off in a fast paced action game like this, but it still annoyed me. Changing the controls did help, so if you're having trouble with the controls, certainly change them before you get too deep into the game so you don't have to relearn things. Melee combat in this game is pretty bad. It is heavily focused on beam and bullet attacks. You're going to have a hard time playing in melee suits unless you have a good team or someone backing you up. I still love picking my sword strike to slice people up though. Since it's widely known to most players that melee isn't great on this game, not many players bother to spec their stats against melee attacks. So if you do manage to get in close, you'll find yourself doing big damage most of the time. Honestly, most of the times I played this, it just made me angry. Nobody plays games for that. Yeah, when you play something like Dark Souls or some tough part on a game, you'll get upset, but eventually you'll overcome whatever boss or section is giving you trouble. Not here though, because you are forever relying on your teammates. I've been in matches that were over in 1 minute, no joke. That's how bad my teams were. I suppose I should be happy it was over quickly, rather than a long painful loss. It just wastes one of your more precious 3 credits that you will have to wait another 2 hours to play again, which might be another awful match. Here's what usually happens in every match. You start off with capturing the closest relay point, and then everyone and their mom steamrolls to relay point C, and they partake in what I like to call Battle Royale at point C. This is where you will quickly find out what type of team you're on. Nobody will bother trying to capture the other points, while the enemy does, and you will suddenly find yourself respawning all the way back at your base. Look, I get that point C is an important relay point to win and hold down, since it's pretty much the middle point of the map. But just because you hold that point doesn't mean you will win the match. Unfortunately, this happens far too often. I went on a 2-hour losing streak. 2 hours without 1 win. It's hard for me to say how I felt at the time without going into Angry Joe Limit Breaker mode. Let's just say I was extremely pissed. The only other multiplayer game I play like this would be Hawking, and that game used to drive me nuts as well. It could be because Battle Operation Next is fresher in my mind, but as bad as Hawking was sometimes, I don't ever remember going on a 2-hour losing streak. It's enough to make you question your own skill in the game. Now I don't claim to be a pro at the game, but I at least consider myself decent, and when I rewatch my own gameplay I can see I'm doing okay. Where the game falls down is who you play with. This is a problem for all competitive multiplayer games in general, which is why I tend to stay away from them. I much prefer single player games, or co-op games like Left 4 Dead or Borderlands 2. One thing this game does much better than the original game is giving you a proper training mode. Here you can train offline and not use up one of your precious play credits. This is great for when you get new mobile suits and want to test them out and learn combos and whatnot, without having to mess about in live matches, which is one thing I always hated about the original game. The game has a cool avatar creation section. Here you can take various ready-made parts and swap them around or change colours to make your own avatar. You can gain more designs by playing events. When it comes to level design, there's some good maps and some meh ones. My favourite map by far was the Hong Kong map. I'm a sucker for neon cyberpunk lights, which is what this feels like to me. It was always the map that seemed to run the smoothest when I played it as well. On top of all that, I found it to be the most tactical map, as you had so much cover rather than big open spaces. The main map was probably the big desert level, which is actually the latest map added to the game recently. I just found it bland and boring and way too open. I feel like not much effort went into creating this map. Honestly, how they went from the Hong Kong map to this I have no idea. The music for the game isn't from any of the shows. It's okay stuff though. There's no voices for the characters either like in the Versus games. None of this ruined my fun though. This game is filled with the hallmarks of a free-to-play game, so if you played any you'll know how this goes. It is possible to do okay being a free player, but if you want to be competitive and keep up with the other top players you're going to have to open up your wallet. I really hated this game at first because it played nothing like the original game, but once I got past that I started to enjoy the game for what it was. I played the game solid for 2 or more months and dropped a decent amount of money on it, but I eventually got bored, plus the game, like I said before, more often than not just made me angry. It didn't help at the time I was playing that the current meta was full armor doubles at a Gundam blasting everybody, over and over again, over and over again, nearly every match, whole teams full of them, and it just got boring to me. This could have changed by the time this review goes up, as that's the nature of multiplayer games. The game is available from the Japanese PSN store only, so you'll need a Japanese account. While the game is obviously in Japanese, you can easily get by in playing it without any knowledge of Japanese, and you will slowly just figure things out. It's a hard game for me to recommend. I'd say if you have a bunch of friends into Gundam, then download the game. It's free after all, and it won't cost you anything. You'll have a fun time, I think. If like me you're relying on public games, then all I can say is get ready for the ultimate test in patience, as you watch pure madness unfold in front of your eyes. Public games on this are like walking into a public toilet. You just have to hope for the best that nothing unpleasant is waiting for you.